Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea. What if most of us are living a life that isn't really ours? We're going to unpack a blueprint for how to break free from that script and step into what the source material calls an ontological metamorphosis. Sounds intense, right? Let's get into it.
So let's just start with a question that cuts right to the chase. I want you to really think about this for a second. Are you living your life, or is it kinda living you? Because the research we're looking at today makes a bold claim. For most of us, it's the second one. We feel like we're in the driver's seat, but we're often just characters in a story someone else wrote.
The source calls this default state the conditioned self. You can think of it like being on autopilot. We're just guided by all these invisible scripts. You know, the expectations from society, our family, our culture. We just sort of absorb this programming without ever stopping to ask, hey, did I actually choose this?
So what really defines this state? Well, at its core, it's all about seeking safety through conformity. Our lives become this endless, reactive loop. We're constantly driven by what's happening outside of us, and this deep, nagging need for other people to tell us we're okay. And the result is this constant, low-level hum of anxiety and a feeling that we're somehow disconnected from who we really are.
The source has a great name for this whole framework. It calls it the architecture of the cage. So let's take a closer look at what life inside this cage actually feels like day to day.
This slide just lays it out so clearly, the huge difference between these two ways of being. I mean, look at the conditioned self. It's looking outward for everything. Your identity comes from your job title, your role as a parent or a spouse. Your motivation is basically fear and chasing likes and approval. And your focus, it's never here and now. It's always stuck in the past or anxious about the future. Now the sovereign self, that's our destination, is the polar opposite. It's all internally sourced. It's driven by truth, and it's grounded right here in the present. This is the big shift, from being the puppet to becoming the puppeteer of your own life.
And here is the absolute kicker. Keeping up this act, this false persona, it is exhausting. The source calls this feeling existential friction. It's that moment when the sheer energy it takes to maintain the facade just isn't worth the rewards anymore. It's not just burnout, it's a deep, soul-level exhaustion.
You know, that kind of friction just isn't sustainable. It builds and builds and builds until, snap, it hits a breaking point, which turns out to be a critical and totally transformative event. This is what the source calls the rupture. And we're not talking about just having a bad day here. This is a total system-wide reboot. The entire framework you built your identity on just crumbles. That job, the status, the relationships that you thought defined you, they suddenly feel hollow, and the whole story of your life just falls apart. And what's so brilliant about this is that the collapse isn't just in your head. It's a deeply, deeply physical event. The source really emphasizes that this awakening is physiological. Your body is literally recalibrating to handle what it calls the increased voltage of your real unconditioned presence. So things like chronic fatigue aren't a mistake. They're forcing you to be still. Those weird tremors, that's literally your nervous system shaking out old stored conditioning. It's pretty wild.
Now, here's a super important piece of advice from the source. The more you fight this collapse, the worse it's going to get. Trying to glue all the broken pieces of your old identity back together, that just makes the whole painful process last longer. The most efficient way through this void is to just let go. Surrender to it.
Okay, so once the shock of that collapse starts to fade, the next phase begins. But here's the thing, it's not about building a new personality on top of the rubble. The rupture was something that happened to you. This next stage is about actively taking things away. This is what the source calls the subtractive process. It's not about finding some new belief system or a new philosophy to cling to. No, it's about systematically taking apart all that old mental conditioning. The idea is that you find the truth not by searching for it, but by getting rid of everything that's false. This process literally changes the words you use. You know that old phrase, I need to find myself? It implies that you're lost somewhere out there. But the sovereign reframe is, I am uncovering what I am not. See the difference? It shifts the whole focus from desperately seeking to calmly revealing what was there all along. Here's another really powerful one. The shift from life is happening to me to life is happening for me, or even through me, that's huge. That's the move from a victim mentality where you feel like you're at the mercy of everything to seeing yourself as a creative force, actually co-creating with life. In this last one, wow, this really gets to the heart of it all. The conditioned mind is always coming from a place of not enough.
There's always something wrong, something missing. I should be better. But the sovereign mind, it recognizes its own completeness. I am whole in this moment. There's nothing that needs fixing.
So after you've dismantled the machine, after you peeled back all those layers of conditioning, what's left? What emerges? And the source is crystal clear on this. It's not something new you've built, it's something ancient that you've just uncovered.
This is the destination. It's the reclamation of dignity. And we're not talking about dignity in the sense of being proper or respectable. No, this is the deep, unwavering, core knowing that your existence itself is valid. Period. It's not something you have to earn, it's what you are. The analysis calls the stabilization of this state the house of dignity.
And this inner sanctuary? It's built on 4 huge pillars. First, radical self-responsibility. You and you alone are in charge of your inner world. Second, intellectual sovereignty. You stop letting other people do your thinking for you. Third, emotional autonomy. You become the master of your emotions, not a victim of them. And finally, creative authority. You stop being just a passive consumer of reality and you start becoming an active creator of it.
And when you get these pillars firmly in place, it creates a state of consciousness that the source, well, it describes it in a very memorable way. It calls it 𝗦𝗲𝗶𝗏𝗂𝗧𝗏. It's just a fantastic term for a state of inner invincibility. It's when you are so anchored in your own dignity that you don't have to bargain for your worth or defend your existence to anyone, ever again.
Okay, so this whole transformation, it's not just about you. As we're going to see in this final section, it actually has the power to reshape our entire world. See, this isn't just an isolated event happening to one person. Every single person who makes this shift becomes a kind of template, making it easier for the next person. Your relationships totally change. They stop being these codependent contracts. You know, I'll support your fake self if you support mine. And they become a new sovereign ecology, where people connect based on real, genuine resonance and truth.
The analysis actually projects a future where this individual shift could completely transform our collective systems. I mean, just imagine a world where our governance is based on our own inner authority, not top-down control. An economy built on abundance and creativity, not scarcity and competition. And a healthcare system that focuses on genuine well-being, not just managing symptoms. That is the potential of this sovereign emergence.
And to wrap it all up, the source proposes what it calls a physics of awakening, 4 basic laws that govern this entire process. And these aren't just beliefs, they're mechanics. The law of resonance shows how what you believe shapes your reality. The law of resistance teaches us that whatever we fight, we actually make stronger. Subtraction shows us that truth is simply what's left when all the illusions are gone. And the law of sovereign authority reminds us that no one has power over us unless we give it to them. These are the rules of the game.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this isn't just some interesting theory. It's a practical blueprint for a whole new way of being human, one that's anchored in dignity, in truth, in sovereignty. The map is on the table, so the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?